The Flight, the prequel. I grew up in a dysfunctional alcoholic household. I've always suppressed my feelings, something up until recently I believed to be a noble ability. My wife's mother passed away a couple years ago. During her grieving, I wasn't showing much support. She started going out with friends in the evenings, started volunteering at a lot of community organizations. As a result of my emotional unavailability, I was usually either working or playing World of Warcraft. Very little less time, we became more like roommates than a married couple. Bonding was still good, but we didn't talk much. I was getting increasingly upset about her going out, and she was equally upset about my time playing WoW. When she wasn't out, she was on Facebook. So, on the couple of occasions I tried to spend time with her, she had her face buried in her computer. My anxiety hit high gear. I didn't like the suspicious thoughts I was having about her activities. Starting about a year ago, I started reading her texts and Facebook, trying to see if she was having an affair. She was starting to flirt with a lot of different guys. About 5 months ago, I recovered a deleted FB message session between her and an old high school friend. It was a few months old, but it was hard evidence she was at least having cyber affair with another guy. I didn't know if it had gone physical or not, but he lives in the area and hung out with the crowd my wife was at the time. So, I confronted her. I won't go through all the details of the confrontation, but I'm reasonably, not 100%, sure it never got physical. She did all the right stuff, went to NC with a few of the guys I disapproved of, removed, blocked them on FB and her phone, stopped hanging out with the group I disdainfully call that crowd. She tells me she is committed to working on our marriage and has been appropriately apologetic, but I've still be sliding down a depressive slope. We are 3 months into MC, and I've started individual therapy for me. I'm anxious, having obsessive thoughts, and trouble sorting out my own emotions. Therapy has been good, difficult, but good, both marriage and my individual. My codependency seems to be a great source of anxiety. I think I need to focus on me more than us. I'm thinking of suggesting that my wife use every other MC session as an individual session for herself. She is starting to come around to some of her own insecurities and need to work on herself as well. My question is, should I focus more attention in fixing me or on us? I'm still having a hard time understanding what I'm feeling. I know it's bad, and I need to resolve something. But the emotions are way too intense to be solely related to her FB cyber and deceit. Yeah, that was bad, but I've been sliding down a hole ever since. Even though she is doing everything a BS should be. I think the lies more than anything has dredged up my childhood, which was lie after lie after lie until I was numb to it. I feel like I need to work on that, separate from us. Is it possible to reassure her and still be mad at her? Is it possible to take ours slowly without rug sweeping? Coming clean, I've told her that, and she has. She trickled a few things, then she fessed to all I know now. What I mean by not 100% sure is how can I be? She lied to me about it before I caught her. So even though I keep asking and she is holding the line now, there is no way I can really know for sure if she is still lying. When I confronted her, I told her in no uncertain terms to come clean now, because if I find out at any time in the future that it was physical and she lied to me in order to then it would be over. I don't care if it's 40 years from now and we are in our 80s and she is going senile, and in her lowered state of mental ability it slips. I told her I would leave her, unless she fessed up now. She insists she has told me all. I think that she has, but like I said, there is no foolproof way to know. We have been married now for 21 years, and until a couple years ago, we have never had any trust issues. It was 2 years ago when her actions started not matching her words, and 1 year ago when I suspected something, and 4 months now that I've known. Although I'm going to make working on my own anxiety and depression an issue, that I still want to work on our relationship. It's up to her to keep on track. For the past 4 months I've been a controlling trash. That's not helping me. I'm going to back off of that and worry about being a happier me. What I want to reassure her of is that because I'm not putting our relationship first, it doesn't mean I don't care. I agree, the lying hurt. It will hurt. She is fully accepting of the fact that I'm not going to trust her. Her words are empty and hollow, and that I'm going to judge her on her actions. I could care less what she tells me. She understands that and mourns the loss of trust, as she should, and I won't comfort her about that. She earned that and had to live with that shame. I'm just wondering, has anyone else with anxiety issues ever attempted to at the same time as dealing with their own issues? How did that go? Did you put more effort into the or into your own recovery? For me, it's more than the betrayal working inside me. I've always been closed off, very few friends, and like it that way. I hate social situations and avoid them if I can. I was like that before D-Day. The aftermath is much, much worse. Sure, the betrayal inflamed the situation, but the dysfunctional base was already there. I just don't think there can be an US until I find me. But I want there to be an US. I don't expect it to be all roses again. Never the same as it was, but maybe good again someday. Maybe I'm crazy, or just lying to myself. But that's how I feel right now. Decided to work on me first. Part of that will be sorting out my feelings for my WW out from my foo issues. In the meantime, I'm going stealth on my monitoring of her activities. She is working hard to regain my trust. spending more time at home, cutting out toxic friendships, and involving me in some of her theater projects so I get to know some of the folks she is hanging out with when working on a production. Cutting out caffeine has helped lower my anxiety a bit. At least it's tolerable. Still can't stop biting my nails. I think that will be a sign to me that I'm improving. I've had a couple days this week where I wasn't fixated on my wife's betrayal and wallowing in self-pity. So, there is hope. If her behaviors show to be anything less than trustworthy, I'll pick up a VAR and start looking for more advice from the pros. In the meantime, I'll enjoy the hysterical bonding while it lasts. Few months later, I'm a very distrustful person. Let me start with that. I have obsessive thoughts about people lying to me or trying to hurt me. I know that comes from growing up in an abusive household. So, I've learned to stuff those thoughts as being unreasonable most of the time. I just want that up front, as emotionally I tend to feel the worst case possible. So logically I overcompensate and try to give the benefit of the doubt. I'm 42, wife just turned 44, married 21 years, 3 kids, 1 in college, 2 in high school. My job has moved me around a lot for work. 2 of the kids were born with medical issues. So, in the younger years we were always a very tight-knit family. Needed to rely on each other a lot, and because of the moves didn't have many friends that were not family friends. 5 years ago, we moved back to our hometown. Wife was very social in high school and her family is very active in civic matters in town. So, she knows hundreds of people who live near us. She connected over Facebook with old friends from high school, became active on the reunion committee and started going to various informal gatherings that took place mainly at bars to sing karaoke. I'm a much less social person. I'm happier at home, playing video games or working around the house in the evenings. I would go with her sometimes, but more often I would not. I didn't really like those people in high school, and from the couple of times I went, they haven't changed much. 3 years ago, my wife's mother died. She took that loss very hard, but didn't want to talk about it because it made her cry. She started to go out more. Also joined a local community theater. She was out more nights than she was home, and when I requested she be home more, she would get angry with me and tell me she didn't want to be home if all I was going to do was be in the basement playing video games. The kids were getting older and needed her less, and she wanted to have a life. She started working on losing weight, was dressing nicer and looking good. I would joke with her, prior to D-Day, that I'd better keep an eye on her. She would tell me I had nothing to worry about, she was all mine and would never think about cheating. Most of 2016 we felt disconnected. I knew our relationship was off. I suspected something could be going on, but I had a hard time coming to grips with that. I figured out the password to her phone and Facebook and started keeping tabs on her. There was some dirty banter with the theater folks, but more like you would hear when joking around with a body crowd. Nothing that I would say was flirty. Shortly before our anniversary, she started making plans to have lunch with someone she has known since the 3rd grade. I'll call him Joe. She didn't tell me anything, so all I had to go on was the texts. Nothing physical, just lunch and a big hug because they haven't seen each other in decades. I feel I made a mistake in confronting her at this point. I didn't have proof of anything, and it tipped my hand that I was looking over her shoulder. This was June 2016. She claimed he was just a friend and whatnot. I was still livid. I told her if that was true, she could invite him and his wife over for dinner sometime, but not have a private lunch with only him. She claimed that would be uncomfortable now that I was so suspicious. She didn't change her passwords, but I could tell by reconciling to the bill she was deleting texts. I asked her not to, and she would always come up with the bullcrap story that she was just freeing up space on her phone. Just before Memorial Day 2012, I caught Facebook, FB, chat from Joe planning a lunch date for Memorial Day. As the day approached, I was waiting for her to lie to me for some excuse to get out Memorial Day afternoon so I could confront her. She didn't mention anything about it, so I checked her FB again on Sunday. Turns out they both didn't realize it was Memorial Day, so they canceled their plans. I wanted to save that log prior to her deleting it but wasn't sure how to do that from FB. So, I tried to archive thinking it would download it, but it just disappeared. I read up on archiving and figured out it just saves it, but it no longer appears in the Messages tool. So, I went into the archive to undo what I had done so she wouldn't notice. That's when I saw another thread from July with another high school acquaintance. I'll call him John. He was full-throttle cyber affair. Him asking her questions about her breasts, and if she liked to feel come inside her, and what a great time they could have. She was leading him along, not trying to stop the chat, but insisted that they maintain boundaries as they wouldn't want to get in trouble. What the hell? There was a reference to another chat where he thought she had masturbated while they chatted. Ugh, so disgusting to think about. She always shamed me when I would masturbate and told me she tried it once when she was younger but didn't like it. I was devastated. I was hoping to this point that it was just my distrustful nature, that she wouldn't really do anything to betray me. But here I had it. Proof she was at least in an EA with this This thread was from July 2016. This guy was at one of the high school gatherings she went to without me back in December 2015. She also tried going to another gathering in December 2016, but I decided last minute to go with, and she came up with some lame reason for not wanting to go. So, my conclusion that she hadn't been physical with this guy prior to July 2016. I think she was open to the idea, but maybe I caught it before it got that far. I copied those posts and saved them on a thumb drive and hid that. I confronted her when she got home. First about her setting up a lunch date with Joe. She stuck to her "he is just a friend" story and said she would have told me, but since they canceled, she didn't see a point in bringing it up. I said I didn't care if she even was thinking about having lunch alone with another guy. She needed to tell me about it before setting a date, and then only go if I felt the guy in question was safe. As I didn't know Joe, he was not safe. She said I had nothing to worry about. So, I then asked her, is there anything I should be worried about? If not with Joe, how about with anyone? Did she ever kiss anyone? Let anyone grab her ass? Ever have an inappropriate text or chat conversation? She looked me straight in the eye, and without missing a beat said, "No, never. I would never do that to you." I quoted a line her chat with John. I could tell from the look on her face she knew she was busted. I went off like an animal. Kids in the next room and all, I no longer cared to keep calm. I started screaming at her, calling her a b and liar. I told her to come clean now. She then admitted to the chat with John. She said there were also similar chats with another guy who I didn't know. But she said it was never physical and that she stopped it last year shortly after those texts. She felt sick to her stomach about doing it. I told her I wasn't buying it. They were still friends on her FB. That although she hadn't been to a high school gathering in 6 months, she was still in contact and planning to go again at some point. She was stunned, obviously remorsefully, but I'd say more remorseful over being caught than what she did. She wanted to rug sweep fast. I told her it wasn't going to happen. I told her to go unfriend anyone on FB that she either flirted with or encouraged her flirting. I told her she was to no longer delete texts and chat and that I would be watching. Anything deleted in my book would be cheating. I don't care if it was just a happy birthday note to Dad. Don't delete it. I exposed her to our pastor and he referred us to a family counselor for MC. She removed about a dozen FB friends. Some male, some female, mostly high school people. Her posts were less flirty, but there was still some flirting going on that I was quick to point out to her and use as examples of things that pissed me off to see. She would call other guys handsome and sweetie. She told me she was just being nice, trying to build them up. I asked what for. Did she realize that was tearing me down and leading them on to thinking maybe she was attracted to them? She got the point and cut that out. Through MC, both of us realized we had some pretty major individual issues. So, we have put MC on hold for a few months to focus on IC. I'm still holding her accountable to follow my rules. Yes, more than a bit controlling, but oh well. I have her computer key logged and haven't seen anything. I keep an eye on texts versus the phone bill and she deleted one message from one of the theater guys. They were joking about dildos. That was about a month after D-Day. Nothing since. From what I can observe, she seems to be doing everything I've asked. I still just can't shake the feelings of anger and sadness. I've quit video games, started working out, playing my clarinet more. The anger and depression are not constant like they were the first few months, but it still comes on daily, usually when I'm at work or lying in bed trying to fall asleep. I just can't stop my mind from racing with the what ifs. What if she didn't tell me the whole truth? What if she just took it deeper underground? What if? Does it ever stop? I like the name of the forum, so I'll use it in the form of a question. How do you cope with infidelity? I know there is no one answer to that. Heck, maybe I'm asking it rhetorically. Maybe I have no idea what I'm doing posting here. Thanks again to those who took the time to read this. I'd appreciate any input on how I handled the situation. And now that I'm where I am, what should I be doing to stop the obsessive thoughts? Or should I embrace them? I feel like a mental case. We are both seeing individual therapists every other week. Her therapist is our MC. My IC is a different therapist. I'm going to adult children of alcoholics meetings weekly to work on my issues. She is doing all the right things. And see, I can track her phone, see her FB. I don't think she knows I keylogged her computer. She hasn't deleted anything since the one a month after D-Day, which I caught from the phone bill. She is very good about telling me where she is going, who she is with and such. So, logically I don't see any red flags. I just wish the emotions would catch up. Maybe I'm just depressed realizing they never will. I'll always be suspicious. Maybe I'll stop checking constantly and obsessing. But I'll never trust her like I used to. I'm working on healthy trust as my therapist calls it. Trusting a little and giving more trust as it's earned. Also decreasing trust when it's broken. My therapist says complete trust is not healthy, and it's okay if I never fully trust her again. As long as I can get to a point where I trust her enough. Sounds so ambiguous, I struggle with the concept. Regarding the healthy trust concept, it came up as we talked about my overall trust issues and how they related to my coming to grips with how to, or not to, trust my WW. My therapist pointed out how I was saying things. I was being very black or white. Either I trusted, or I didn't trust. I was having a hard time because any little thing that could be a sign, I was immediately assuming the worst. Then I'd lash out at my wife. Basically, I'm in a cycle where I either hold it in and explode or assault her with a constant stream of accusations. She asked me if our marriage could work if I never trust her, to which I had to say no. I don't think a marriage can work without trust. Then she asked, do I see myself ever trusting her as blindly as I did before the affairs? To which I had to admit, no, I don't ever see myself being that trusting again. It seemed to me like that dooms the marriage, which she pointed out it doesn't have to. I don't have to have blind trust. I just have to trust enough that she wouldn't do it again, or be distrusting enough to pay attention to the signs. That if something comes up and it could be a sign, it needs to be investigated. What's different is I don't have to feel bad about investigating it. I don't need to feel bad about checking on her to make sure she isn't cheating on me. Because my WW has taught me that if I give her blind trust, she has the capability to abuse it. So, she doesn't deserve it. I read somewhere else that trust is like rungs on a ladder. When you first meet someone, one person has to take a risk and give the other person a little trust, then see how they respond. The example given was like a guy giving a girl his phone number. If she calls him, she returned that trust. So, you can give a little more. This give and take is good, and if you build it in balance, it's good. But if the trust is not returned, you need to back off and that's it. The end of the line. You can't keep piling trust into a black hole where none is returned. It's not healthy. You cannot be the black hole either. So, that needs to be fixed or there is no relationship. Still working on applying that visual to my life, but the concept helps. I don't think I'm rug sweeping. I've even went so far as to lessen her risk by giving her a window to tell me the truth. She had till June to confess anything. No matter what she said, I told her I would stay and work on it if she was willing. But if I find out she lied about the extent or number of affairs after that, I will go straight to the lawyer to have divorce papers drawn up. She is either very confident that there is no evidence or I have the full truth. I'm suspicious to the core. So, even if I think I have the full truth, I'll always be hunting for the lie. That trait is so deeply embedded in who I am, I can't turn it off. So, I'll accept it. We also talk about my trust issues. When something bothers me, I investigate it. She is getting good at not being defensive about it. She used to blow up at me for not trusting her. She can never say that again. I'm allowed to not trust her. I'm not allowed to accuse her. I can ask, I can investigate, and I can snoop. But I won't accuse without proof. But she doesn't hinder my investigations or get offended by them. She knows I need that, and she is learning to deal with it. I don't think that's rug sweeping. When I investigate my wife's actions with the lens that I'm trying to detect a lie, it's accusatory by nature. I'm really digging to exclude all the wild possibilities, so that I am confident in the truth. I think this is a much better way to look at it. It puts the onus back onto my insecurity and distrust. I don't think my wife is a bad person or dishonest by nature. I think she made some bad choices and had poor boundaries, then was dishonest about it. She is working on that with her therapist, and I've been very clear to her that her honesty is paramount to reconciliation. I had my truth-hunting skills turned off for the past few years. I was occupying my mind so that I didn't have to deal with the pain unfolding in my life. I'm done with that. I'm fully awake again, and I will keep my eyes open and take notice of everything. She will either accept it or not. We will either successfully reconcile or not. The two are linked. The hard part will be down the road. I almost don't want the pain to fade. It keeps my guard up. I don't want to let my guard down. But I can't live on a constant state of red alert either. Can I? For reconciliation. Full truth, transparency, honesty in words, and remorse. Full truth, she claims I do. She did give me some details that I did not have evidence to prove. So, she has given me more truth than I had discovered on my own. However, she was very forgetful, dismissive of details. She gets agitated when I press for more information, saying things like you won't be happy until I make up something worse. So, my gut is telling me that there is more to it. I'm just not sure. If more is there, I'd like to know. But it's also possible that I'm just looking for more. I'm letting it go for now. But it's something I'm going to revisit in MC. Transparency, she is doing very well in this area. I know all passwords. She tells me where she is going, who she will be with, and when she will be back. On the sly, I keep an eye on her car odometer, track her phone's GPS, and have a keylogger on her laptop. So far everything checks out. Honesty in words, too soon to judge. When she says she loves me, or that I'm the best, it still stings. If I was all that great, why did she cheat? As far as sticking to our agreement and transparency goes, what she says is supported by what she does. So, from what I can observe, it's good. Remorse, very weak in this area. She was very sorry when I confronted her, or when I break down. I gather that she is sorry for getting caught. I even believe she is sorry that I'm hurting because of her actions. I just don't know if she is sorry for the multiple EAS. She never asked me to forgive her. She never initiates conversations about our relationship unless we are in MC. When I bring something up, she is responsive for a little while, but has an annoying habit of changing the topic. That is very annoying. I used to just drop it. But lately I've been calling her out on her topic changing, which works at keeping us on topic for a little while. I just can't help feeling like she is worried about hurting me, so she isn't giving me everything. She said, "It happened. I know it was wrong. It felt wrong and I stopped. I will never do it again and just want to move forward." Confusing times. Last night I decided to open up to my WW about the doubts I have that she has given me the whole truth. She stuck to her story but was a little more open about the emotions of it. Where before she said it made her feel like she at least admitted to enjoying it. Which, while not pleasant to hear, at least makes sense. I mean, why would you do something again and again if you didn't like it? All things considered, it was a good conversation. She seemed more open to discussing than she ever has in the past and showed genuine remorse. So, I won't call it feeling good, but I'd say it seemed like progress. Then this morning the oddest thing happens. We get a text message on our home phone number from a number I didn't recognize asking, "Can I come tonight?" I have to assume he means the Christmas party at the community theater tonight. It's the only event I know going on tonight. I have my adult Children's of Alcoholics meeting at the same time, and my wife only asked me about coming to the party yesterday, which of course I'm going to the party. I looked up the phone number and it's a guy my wife knows from the theater. I've met him and his fiancée at a party a few months back. Kind of an odd guy. Anyway, I figure he has both our home number and my wife's number programmed into his phone and sent the text to our home number by mistake. So, trying to egg along a conversation, I said, "Sure, why not?" He replied, "Just checking." Then about 5 minutes later he called the house. I was at work and wife is at home, but I get the caller ID pop up on my phone so I know who is calling. I asked my wife why he was asking her for permission to come to the party. She said she had no idea, that he is a very odd guy and likes lots of reassurance. But she doesn't know why he would be asking her. Doesn't add up. I can't make much sense of that and I'm not sure how to respond. Things were busy at work, so I just left it with, "Well, figure it out," because it doesn't make sense. So, I'm not sure what kind of story I'm going to get when I get home. More likely she won't bring it up and hope I let it slide. This same guy FB messages my wife once or so per month with a simple, "Hi." My wife hasn't replied to him since I confronted her about the cyber affair, which makes my spidey sense tingle all the more. Still, it's not much to go on and I'm in ultra hyper paranoid mode. I think it's polygraph time. Might help calm my nerves if I'm overacting or confirm to me she is still hiding crap. So, the story goes that this guy's membership was comped as he lost his job late last year. So, he was checking to see if he could still come to the party and bring a couple of friends. The reason he called my wife is she is the one who sent out the membership directories. Seems plausible. Confirmed what I could by asking questions around the edges with a few other people at the party. The loss of trust eats me up from the inside. Holidays went well. Had some time off work so we spent lots of time together as a family. Not as much one-on-one time as I would have liked, but overall, it was nice spending time together. 4 months ago, on advice from our therapist during MC, we stopped MC and started IC. My wife with the same therapist we used for MC and myself with a new therapist. I've learned a lot about myself, and while I still have much work to do, I'm ready to start back with MC. I brought this up with my wife and she agreed. So, this past weekend she mentioned it to her therapist. Her therapist said that she isn't ready yet to resume MC. 4 months of IC and she isn't ready yet. She also pointed out that we would need to find a third therapist as neither of our individual therapists should conduct our MC, which I agree with. I'm kind of floored though that she told my wife she isn't ready for MC yet. Not sure what to make of that. Neither of us is very good at communicating our emotions honestly with each other. I've been trying to with her, but it seems to go wrong. I think MC would be very helpful at this point as it will help us communicate better. I feel like I'm in limbo right now. I've stopped gaming. I'm helping out around the house. Bonding life is still great. We have been pretty good at sticking to a date night at least weekly, but there is still a wall up. When I bring up the difficult subject, topics get changed or she pulls into her shell and hides. I guess I'm worried that so much time will pass that when I bring up the pain I'm still holding and she is going to complain that I'm living in the past. Is there a good way to communicate the pain we feel as the BS without it seeming like we are nagging? I wasn't to make sure that I'm communicating to her that I'm still hurting, but I don't want it to dominate every minute of every day. Comment. The problem is that it is in her character, or she would have had sufficient willpower, respect for herself, for you, and for the sanctity of your marriage not to do it. Failing that, she would have had the dignity to alert you immediately when she started having feelings for the OM. She did neither. Dishonesty and infidelity are in her character, and that's a sad truth that you need to take into account when approaching reconciliation. Your wife is no different than a recovering alcoholic or addict. This particular weakness is a part of her and will be with her, to some degree or another, for the rest of her life. The second that you forego your diligence in the matter, you start asking for it to happen again. Keep that in mind. OP responds, feeling a little bit better today. Had a rough night Friday. Looking through the phone bill I saw some texts from a number I did not recognize. Looked at the wife's phone when I got home and don't see them. I thought she had deleted them. I decided to not mention it until I got a chance to recover them. But I was really steaming. So, we went out to the movies for date night. I was glad it was to the movies. I don't think I could have held it together if we had to have a lot of interaction. Later that night I backed up her phone and searched that number. Turns out it was her sister's new cell phone number and was buried in a group log and not deleted as I thought. I'm glad I contained my anger until after I investigated. Even more relieved it turned out to be innocent. On a separate note, creepy guy who texted if he could come to the Christmas party. Facebook messages my wife asking if she would model the red dress she wore to the party for a project for his photography class. She replied that she didn't have the time. She didn't delete it, which I'm happy about, but I wish she would have mentioned it. I'd rather she talks to me about what this creeper is up to than try to handle it on her own. My comment: do you think OP will get what he is looking for? Part 2 will come shortly. See you in P2.